Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this evening's Srimad Bhagavatam class reading for the pleasure of Shri Radha Gopinath Temple in Sydney, Australia. Welcome to all our viewers online on Mayapur TV and ISKCON Sydney YouTube. So today we will be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll be continuing Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 11, and the title for this particular chapter 11 is going to be Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. So before we begin, we'll sing Jai Radha Madhav and a little bit of Mangal Charan, and then we'll continue from where we left off yesterday. This should be interesting. We will be reading a little bit about how Lord Krishna lived in Dwarka and how the residents related to him, and how beautiful this Dwarka was. So hopefully we can take the nectar from this chapter, chapter 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. So let's start Jai Radha Madhav. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashoda Nandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashoda Nandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari, Yashoda Nandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yashoda Nandana Vrajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Yamuna Tira Vanchari, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha, Gopinath Radha, Gopinath Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha, Gopinath Radha, Gopinath Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadrama. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Gaur Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivacharya Astotra Sata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, श्रीमती तुलसी देवी की जय, संवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutle, Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne, Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyate Suridya Shuddhi Nishtabhem Tasya Vakya Nuvadine. We will be reading. Thank you for joining us this evening. Reading or continuing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 11. Krishna is making an entrance into Dwarka after leaving Hastinapur. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhuva Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so we'll begin Canto 1, Chapter 11. Sutta Uvacha Anartan Sa Upavrajya Svardhan Jnana Padan Svakan Dhadmao Dharavaram Tesham Vishadam Samayanniva. Okay, so what does that mean? Sutta Goswami said upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of Anarthas, Dwarka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. So this chapter is dealing with when Lord Krishna is returning from Hastinapur after the Kurukshetra battle. So he's left the Pandavas and he's crossed through Rajasthan and he's crossed through Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, all those areas. And then now he has reached the border of Dwarka. And as soon as he reaches the Dwarka borderline, he takes his Panchajanya conch shell. So he's got a conch shell of his own and it's named Panchajanya. And he takes it and then he blows on the shell to let the inhabitants know that he's nearby. Because he's been away for a few months, several months. He stayed in Dwarka, as we discussed yesterday, to pacify Subhadra because she'd lost her son Abhimanyu in the battle, and also to pacify the Pandavas also. And Yudhishthir Maharaj, being the king, asked him to stay on, so Lord Krishna stayed. So he'd been away for a few months, and so the inhabitants of Dwarka were feeling very dejected and very they were in melancholy, and they were feeling separation, and they were just waiting for Krishna to come. So Krishna decided to blow his conch shell, and they can recognize the sound of his conch shell, actually, the Panchajanya. It's in fact said that when Lord Krishna blows on his conch shell, the demons' wives, who are pregnant, have miscarriages. Such is the sound of his conch shell. On the other hand, the sound of his conch shell is like nectar to his devotees, to the residents of Dwarka. So they were, as soon as they heard the conch shell blowing, the residents of Dwarka started living again, became alive again. And these residents who were overcome with melancholia due to separation, when they heard it, they ran to greet Lord Krishna. So let's see. So I'll just read a little bit of the purport. So the heralding sound of the auspicious conch shell was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified the dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in a befitting manner. So so this is a description of Lord Krishna's conch shell. The white and fat bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of transcendental lips. So Lord Krishna's lips are described to be reddish, like the bimba fruit, and the palms of his hands also, and his the soles of his feet, they are very reddish, and they look very beautiful. And so when he puts the conch shell there, then it appears red also due to his lips. So this is the description when he blows on the conch shell. The white and fat bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. So everything about Lord Krishna is attractive, everything, and including the time that he blows on his conch shell. And it is very beautifully described here that the conch shell looks like a white swan. As you know, swans are very beautiful. White swan is playing amongst the red lotus flowers when Lord Krishna is blowing on his conch shell. So the redness of the white conch shell due to the lip touch of Lord is a symbol of spiritual significance. The Lord is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of his spiritual existence. Actually, there is nothing like matter in spiritual enlightenment, and this spiritual enlightenment takes the place at once by the contact of Supreme Lord Krishna. So anything that material is being touched by Lord Krishna becomes instantly like spiritual. So even when we take the name of Lord Krishna, we become spiritual. We are in a spiritual transcendental form when we are chanting. So chanting must not be taken like something that is material. Actually, when someone is chanting with their heart and taking the names of Lord Krishna, they are not in a material platform. They're not. They are in a transcendental spiritual state when we chant Lord Krishna's names. When we have Lord Krishna's names on our lips, because he's present in the sound vibration. So when the sound vibration comes from out of our lips, he touches us. The sound vibration touches us. So we no longer in a material state if you really think about it. So if you really want to have that spiritual experience, say the Hare Krishna Mahamantra out loud, and for a minute there, you will feel a little bit out of the material perspective, let's put it that way. So it is always a good idea to keep chanting. Anyway, so the meaning of this was quite very nice. As soon as the material conch shell is touched by the lips of Lord Krishna, it becomes spiritual significance. It's no longer material. Let's see. Let's continue. So the citizens of Dwarka, having heard the sound which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast. I mean, this is the opposite reaction. When the demons hear Lord Krishna's conch shell, they run away. But when the devotees hear Lord Krishna's conch shell, they run to him. So that's the difference between a devotee and a demon, Lord Krishna's enemy. So they all began to run towards him very fast, just to have the long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all the devotees. So as already explained, the citizens of Dwarka who lived in the time of Lord Krishna's presence, they were all liberated souls who descended there along with the Lord as the entourage. So they actually are not ordinary. They're residents of Vaikuntha and Krishna Lok. And they descended with Lord Krishna. Whenever Lord Krishna actually descends, he doesn't come alone. That's actually one of the qualities of Lord Krishna. He's always surrounded by his devotees. One of the special qualities that is not present in any other manifestations of Lord Krishna. He comes with his whole entourage, the whole tribe, and so they all take birth with Krishna. He's never ever alone. He's always surrounded by his devotees, his gopis, his gopas, in whatever form. Even as Lord Chaitanya, when he came with all his entourage, they all took birth in various bodies, and they all had various services, and they were here for various purposes, and they all came together. So he's always surrounded. So they all came, and always very anxious to have audience with the Lord. Although because of spiritual contact, they were never separated from the Lord. I mean, just as the gopis of Vrindavan, they used to think of Krishna while he was away from the village for cow herding engagements. So even while Krishna was in Vrindavan and he just like left to herd the cows, the gopis were at home, they would still think of Krishna, and they were never separated from him. What they thought of was Krishna is running around barefoot in Vrindavan, and the thorns would pierce his soft soles. Lord Krishna didn't wear shoes. He would run around in the forest bare feet, and the reason was why he was running around in Vrindavan forest bare feet was because he said to his mother, "The cows are not wearing shoes, so why should I?" So he said, "No, none of the cows and the calves are wearing shoes, so I'm not going to wear shoes either." So the gopis were always worried about Krishna and concerned. So and the citizens also of Dwarka were all immersed in the thought of Krishna while he was away from Dwarka to attend the battle of Kurukshetra. So continuing from there, the sound heralded by Lord Krishna was something like heralding the sunrise in the morning, it's described. So all the citizens of Dwarka awoke from a state of slumber because of the sunrise of Krishna. They all hastened towards him just to have audience. The devotees of Lord know no one else's protector. So let's continue from there. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations. So now we are going to see what the citizens brought. I mean, when they say that whenever we go to the temple, we take something as an offering to Lord Krishna. And whenever we see Lord Krishna, we bring something for him. It is not that Krishna is lacking anything, but it is something like a gift. So you're happy to see Krishna, and so you bring him something. And what to bring Krishna? You could even bring a flower, one flower, anything that is from the heart. So here the citizens are arriving before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one. Actually, Lord Krishna is fully satisfied. He doesn't really need anything. But if you are greeting a beloved, or you need to take something with you. So they have something to offer to Krishna. So he is self-sufficient one who by his own potency incessantly supplies others. Lord Krishna supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of a lamp to the sun. So Lord Krishna's got everything. He doesn't really need it, but we still give him something. So just like we offer a lamp to the sun, we still offer him something, a little bit. Yet the citizens began to speak in an ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and the father. So the Supreme Lord Krishna is described herein as Atmaram. He is self-sufficient, and there is no need for him to seek happiness from anything beyond himself. He is a well-wisher for one and all. He accepts from everyone. Everything that is offered to him in pure devotional service. So anything that you offer to Lord Krishna with love, he will accept. So then continuing from there, all the citizens said, these are the prayers of the citizens of Dwarka. The citizens said, "Oh Lord, you are worshipped by all the demigods, like Brahma, the four sunners, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord, and an inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you." So they are well aware that he's God. They're well aware that he is God. "O creator of the universe, you are our mother, well-wisher, Lord, Father, spiritual master, and worshipable deity." Sign of total surrender. They are actually telling Lord Krishna that you are our Father, our spiritual master, our Lord, our Father. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy. That is the actual Vaishnava prayer, that we remain in Lord Krishna's protection forever. We never want to forget Krishna, and we always want to remember him. We always want to be his devotee, and we always want to be under his protection. We never want to lose him. And how we can do that is continuing our chanting. Whatever we do, we must never leave our chanting, because he is present in his names. Continuing their prayers to Krishna. Oh, it is our good luck. Of course, it is the good luck to be in Lord Krishna's presence, to be in front of Lord Krishna face to face. So he's saying it is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence. For your lordship rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. So those people who are aspiring to go to the heavens, even they don't get to see Lord Krishna. So if you really want to be with Krishna, don't aspire for heaven. Aspire to be a devotee of Lord Krishna with love and devotion, pure devotion. So your lordship rarely visits even the denizens of the heaven. Now it is possible for us to look into your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form, full of auspiciousness. So I'd like to read a little bit of the purport. It's interesting. About the denizens of heaven when they want to, because Lord Krishna never goes to see them. So what happens when they want to see Lord Krishna? Where do they go? So the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Brahmaji and other demigods want to consult Lord Vishnu, the plenary portion, so they can't even go directly to Lord Krishna, they have to go to the plenary portion, who is Lord Vishnu. They have to wait on the shore of the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu is lying on white land known as Shwetadeep. So they have to stand on the shoreline even. So that's how difficult it is to see Lord Krishna. They get to see a plenary portion, Lord Brahma. So what to speak of ordinary devotees like us? Still, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we are able to aspire to be one day with Lord Krishna. So you can just imagine the mercy we have received in the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and the guidance from Srila Prabhupada. Because even the denizens of heaven cannot be in direct association with Lord Krishna. And even when they want to see the plenary portion of Lord Krishna, they have to stand on the shoreline of the ocean of milk where Lord Vishnu is lying on Ananta Shesha. So the ocean of milk Shwetadeepa planet are a replica of Vaikuntha Loka. Within the universe, neither Brahmaji nor the demigods like Indra can enter into this island of Shwetadeep. They cannot enter the island. But they can stand on the shore of the ocean of milk and transmit their message to Lord Vishnu, known as Shiro Dakshai Vishnu. So they just transmit their messages. They don't get a direct audience. So you can just imagine the degree of mercy we have received by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Srila Prabhupada, that we can actually aspire to be directly in connection with Lord Krishna one day, if we do things right, spiritually speaking, under the guidance of Srila Prabhupada and a bona fide spiritual master. So therefore, the Lord is rarely seen by them, but the inhabitants of Dwarka, because of their being pure devotees without any tinge of material contamination, fruity activities, and empiric philosophical speculation, can see him face to face by the grace of the Lord. This is the original state of living entities and can be attained by reviving our natural and constitutional state of life, which is discovered by devotional service only. So it is possible. It is in our hearts. I know this is actually a reading to relate a story, but certain times the purports are quite interesting and very beneficial, especially if it's tells us how to reach Krishna. So I thought, let me read this part where we can in fact surpass the the benedictions even provided to the heavenly planets, denizens of the heavenly planets, like Lord Brahma. So the importance of being in pure devotional service. So they are continuing. O lotus-eyed Lord, whenever you go away to Mathura, Vrindavan, or Hastinapur to meet your friends and relatives, every moment of your absence seems like a million years. Oh, infallible one, at that time our eyes become useless or bereft of the sun. So they are expressing their feelings. Imagine if you can express your feelings to Lord Krishna face to face. So that's what they're doing. And so, oh Master, if you live abroad all the time, then we cannot look at your attractive face, whose smile vanquishes all our sufferings. How can we exist without your presence? Upon hearing their speeches, the Lord, who is very kind to the citizens and devotees, entered the city of Dwarka and acknowledged all their greetings by casting his transcendental glance over them. So Lord Krishna's attraction is so powerful that once being attracted by him, one cannot tolerate separation from him. It's fact. Why is this so? Because we are all eternally related to him. As the sun rays are eternally related to the sun disk. The sun rays are molecular parts of the solar radiation. Thus the sun rays and the sun cannot be separated. So we cannot be separated by Lord Krishna either, because we are part and parcel of him. We have within our hearts hidden the love of Lord Krishna. So once we are attracted by Lord Krishna, there is basically no hope for us, because we need to be in his association all the time, and we are looking for him all the time. So continuing, as Bhogavati, the capital of Nagalok, is protected by the Nagas, so was Dwarka protected by the descendants of Vrishni. And who are the descendants of Vrishni? Bhoja, Madhu, Dasharha, Arha, Kukura, Andhaka, etc., who were as strong as Lord Krishna. The Nagaloka planet is situated below the earth, and it is understood the sun rays cannot reach there because it's below the planet Earth. So the darkness of the planet is, however, removed by the flashes of jewels or of the heads of the nags. So the nags actually have this this huge jewel that is fixed upon their heads, and that flashes, and that makes it daylight. And it's quite true. I've got the Krishna Kaliya picture behind me, and he is also given this like money or jewel. And it is said that when he actually lives in Fiji, and he's still there, and it is said by those who have seen him that when Kaliya Nag surfaces from the ocean where he resides in the middle of the darkness of the night, so you can imagine the ocean, and it's dark and it's midnight and there's no sun, and then suddenly the snake with the jewel comes up, Kaliya Nag, and it becomes broad daylight in the middle of the night. It's like sunlight. It's like daytime. So similarly, in this planet of Nagas, the sun rays don't reach there, but the Nagas enlighten or illuminate the planet with the money, the jewels on their foreheads. And it is described that there are beautiful gardens there. So they are not like in a planet that looks bad. In fact, the planets look much better than Earth. They have beautiful gardens, and enjoyment for the Nagas is all there. It's very beautiful. So it is understood here also that the place is well protected by the inhabitants. So also the city of Dwarka is very well protected by the descendants of Vrishni, who are as powerful as the Lord. So we will read a little bit more about Dwarka now, what Dwarka looks like. So the city of Dwarkapuri, which Lord Krishna erected himself, because he moved from Mathura. Actually, he was always being attacked. So he decided to, okay, let me not fight, and let's give that up, and let me make a new city. So he made a new city called Dwarka, and it was filled with opulences. very much. There's a description here. It was filled with opulence of all seasons. There were hermitages, orchards, flower gardens, parks, reservoirs of water, breeding lotus flowers all over. Dwarka was surrounded by flower gardens, fruit orchards, along with reservoirs of water growing lotuses. In other words, there was no, like in our cities, we have factories, mills, we have pollution. There was no such thing there. They didn't need any of those things. They had beautiful natural surroundings. They had it was opulent with beautiful gardens and reservoirs of water. Let me just go a little bit further. We find that the mention of pious trees, there were pious trees that produce seasonal flowers and fruits. Our trees are useless jungles right now in Kali Yuga. And so they had beautiful gardens, parks, reservoirs of water with ducks, and swans playing in the midst of lotus flowers. So the sight of swans, beautiful swans and ducks playing in the lotus flowers is very beautiful. And cows giving sufficient milk and butter, essential for developing finer tissues of the human body, is very beautiful. The city gateway, so the gates of the city, the household doors, they were all festooned with arches. So they were beautifully designed arches. The gates, the doors, everything was very beautifully designed. And along they had roads, which was all nicely decorated with festive signs like plantain trees and mango leaves, all to welcome the Lord. There were flags, garlands, painted signs, slogans, all combined to shade the sunshine. So apparently sunshine was there also. They had highways, subways. Apparently they had subways, according to this. The highways, subways. They had subways. They had lanes. They had markets, public meeting places. They were all thoroughly cleansed and moistened with scented water, and to welcome the Lord, fruits and flowers and unbroken seeds were strewn everywhere. So scented waters were prepared by distilling flowers like rose and kiora, were requisitioned to wet the roads and streets. So they used flowers to make scented water, and then put all over the roads to welcome Krishna. So everything smelled good, very nice smelling, sweet smelling, fragrant. Dwarka Dham was very fragrant place. And all the meeting places, public places were thoroughly cleaned. And it appears that the big city of Dwarka Dham was considerably big. It was very big. It was not small. And containing many highways and streets and public meeting places. So it's probably beyond my imagination how big it would have been, because Krishna alone had 16,108 palaces for his wives. I mean, so if you can imagine the space of 16,108 palaces alone for Krishna, and then let alone the palaces that Lord Krishna's father Vasudev had. Vasudev had 18 wives, including Devaki. Devaki was the primary of one of his wives, who was Lord Krishna's mother, but he had 18 wives. And so he had palace of his own, and then let alone the denizens, the citizens of Dwarka. So it was huge. It was huge. It was a huge place. So it had highways, streets, public meeting places, and everything was nicely decorated with flowers and seeds. They were also there because that's a Hindu tradition to have unbroken seeds, seeds of grains for prosperity. So in each and every door of the resident house, auspicious things like curd, unbroken fruits, sugarcane, and full water pots with articles of worship, incense, candles, they were all displayed. On hearing that the most dear Krishna was approaching Dwarka Dham, magnanimous Vasudeva, Akrur, Ugrasen, Pradyuman, Charudeshna, and Samba, the son of Jambavati. Jambavati was one of the wives, the 8 prominent wives of the 16,108 wives of Krishna. Jambavati was one of the 8 primary wives, and Samba was the son of Jambavati. They were all extremely happy. They abandoned sitting, resting, and dining. So here's a little bit of, I'm going to read about the purport because that explains a little bit of who these personalities are. So Vasudev is the son of King Surasen. He's the husband of Devaki and he's the father of Lord Krishna. And he's the brother of Kunti. So Kunti is the aunt of Lord Krishna. She's the sister of Lord Krishna's father. So he's the brother of Kunti, Vasudev, father of Subhadra. Subhadra was married to her cousin Arjun, and the system is still prevalent in parts of India. Vasudev was the appointed minister of Ugrasen. Ugrasen was the king of Mathura. And later on, he married 8 daughters of Ugrasen. Ugrasen's brother, Ugrasen was the king of Mathura, and Vasudev married Ugrasen's brother's 8 daughters. Ugrasen's brother's name was Devaka. And Devaki is the only one of those 8 daughters that Vasudev married. So Kamsa was his brother-in-law. In other words, Kamsa was the brother-in-law of Vasudev, who is Lord Krishna's father. And he accepted voluntary imprisonment on mutual agreement to deliver the 8th son of Devaki. So we will, and who was Akrur? Akrur was the commander-in-chief of the Vrishni dynasty. He is a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Akrur attained success in devotional service to the Lord just by offering prayers, process of prayers. He was the husband of Shutani, daughter of Ahuka. He supported Arjun when Arjun took Subhadra forcibly away by, so he kind of kidnapped Subhadra, Arjun, to marry her. He was supported by Krishna and Akrur. So Ugrasen, who was Ugrasen, he was one of the most powerful kings of Vrishni dynasty, and he was the cousin of Maharaj Kunti Bhoj. His other name is Ahuka. So he was the father of Kams, and he became the king of Mathura by the grace of Lord Krishna. Let's see. Ugrasen was entrusted with the iron lump produced from the womb of Samba. Samba is the son of Jambavati. What had happened was Samba pretended to be pregnant lady and went to harass the Brahmins. And the Brahmins found out that he was Samba, pretending to be pregnant. So they cursed him. They said that you will produce something from your stomach. And Samba produced iron, a lump of iron. And he said, whatever it is that you produce will be the destruction of the Vrishni dynasty, the Yadu dynasty. So Samba he produced the iron the next morning, a whole lump of iron, and that was given to Ugrasen to get rid of it. So Ugrasen cut the lump of iron into pieces and then pasted it and mixed it up with seawater and threw it on the coast of Dwarka. And after this, he ordered complete prohibition within the city of Dwarka and the kingdom. He got salvation after his death. So what happened was those iron pieces came back on the shore and then went onto the land and then became mixed with the plants on the soil and became like iron rods. So at the end of the Krishna era, the Yadu dynasty, they got all drunk and merry and started fighting with each other and hit each other with the tree plants, and that was actually mixed with the iron pieces that had washed up ashore and they killed each other, the Yadu dynasty. So that was through the curse of the Brahmins. So it is so important not to offend the Brahmins. So who was Baldev? Baldev is the divine son of Vasudev by his wife Rohini. He is also known as Rohini Nandana, the beloved son of Rohini. He was entrusted to Nanda Maharaj along with his mother Rohini when Vasudev embraced imprisonment on the mutual agreement with Kamsa. So Nanda Maharaj is the foster father of Baladev along with Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev are constant companions. They are brothers. They were step brothers. Because Lord Krishna was son of Devaki and Lord Balaram or Baldev was son of Rohini. But they're both wives of Vasudev. Actually, Lord Balram was the seventh son of Devaki, but he was removed from her womb and transferred to the womb of Rohini. So in that regard, he's also known as Sankarshan, due to the fact that he is transferred from one womb to another womb. So he is just as powerful as Lord Krishna. And when Subhadra was kidnapped by Arjun, he was very angry because he wanted Subhadra to marry Duryodhana. So Lord Krishna fell at his feet and convinced him not to be so angry. And then he came around, and then he was happy with the marriage, and he went with dowry and everything to Arjun. In the Kurukshetra battle, Lord Balram was actually on Duryodhana's side. So he didn't really support the Kurukshetra battle. And he was very angry when Bhim was fighting with Duryodhan, because Bhim hit below the belt, which is against the rules. So he was extremely angry and he left. Baladev has a lot of spiritual strength. A lot of us, we kind of mistake him to have like physical strength, but he has his strength lies in spiritual strength, and which is why he's known as our spiritual master, the original spiritual master, because he gives spiritual strength. Without his mercy, we cannot even know Krishna, because we need spiritual strength in order to know Krishna. So that's Baladev and Balaram. And that's when we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we say Ram, because that we are calling Lord Balaram for his strength, so that we can be devoted to Lord Krishna. We cannot reach Lord Krishna without Balaram's mercy. So that's Baladev. Baldev is also a class friend of Lord Shri Krishna. They both went to school together. Their teacher was Sandipana Muni. And he also fought with a lot of demons and killed a lot of demons along with Lord Krishna. Then Pradyuman, who is the incarnation of Kamdev, he was the son of, he's also sometimes known as the incarnation of Sanat Kumar. He was Lord Krishna's son through Rukmini. I would like to talk a little bit further, but we are going to be running out of time. So, but this, if you are interested, please read the purport of this particular chapter 11, so you can know a little bit about these personalities. It's very nice and nicely described in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Charu Deshna was another son of Lord Krishna, Rukmini Dev. He was present in the Swayamvar of Draupadi, and he was a great warrior like his fathers. We continue from there. They hastened towards the Lord on chariots with Brahmins bearing flowers. Before them were elephants, emblems of good fortune, conch shells, bugles were sounded, Vedic hymns were chanted. Thus they offered their respects, which was saturated with affection. Okay, so next one. At the same time, this is actually quite interesting. I'm going to read it because it will give us some perspective of this particular class of citizens. At the same time, many hundreds of well-known prostitutes began to proceed on various vehicles. They were all very eager to meet the Lord, and their beautiful faces were decorated with dazzling earrings which enhanced the beauty of their foreheads. So what are the attitude towards prostitutes who are devotees of Lord Krishna? It says here in the purport, we may not hate even the prostitutes if they are devotees of the Lord. Even to date, there are many prostitutes in great cities of India who are sincere devotees of the Lord. So once a devotee of the Lord, they deserve respect. And they were actually greeted by Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna looked at them, glanced at them, and greeted them and acknowledged them. Apparently, 5,000 years ago in Dwarka, the prostitutes lived there. So it says here that this means that prostitutes are necessary citizens for the proper upkeep of the society. Because men who are not satisfied at home require such concessions. If there is no prostitute, then they are low-class men, obviously. We do not encourage men to do those things, but because they are very low class. But if they don't have prostitutes, they will induce others into prostitution. So this is to actually make the ladies and the women protect them into becoming prostitutes. So it is better that prostitutes be available in the marketplace so that the sanctity of society can be maintained. So the real reformation is to enlighten all people to become devotees of Lord Krishna. that will check all kinds of deteriorating factors of life. I mean, Sri Bilvamangal Thakur, the great Acharya of Vishnu Swami, Vaishnav, etc., he was actually initiated by a prostitute who said, if you loved Lord Krishna as much as you love me, then what kind of devotee you will be. So he actually sings praises of her. So we do respect those prostitutes who are devotees of Lord Krishna, according to this purport. And it appears that they had many in Dwarka. Okay, so continuing from there, expert dramatists, artists, dancers, singers, and historians, genealogists, and learned speakers. They were also there. They all came and gave their respective contributions. So all these artists, they were also present in Dwarka. These are the kind of people they came and respectfully gave their presentations. Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead, approached them and offered due honor and respect to each and every one of the friends, relatives, citizens, and all others who came to receive and welcome him. So he went and met everyone. The Almighty Lord greeted everyone present by bowing his head, exchanging greetings, embracing, shaking hands, looking and smiling, giving assurances, awarding benedictions, even to the lowest in rank. So everyone. Then what did he do? Let's continue. Then the Lord personally entered the city, accompanied by elderly relatives, invalid Brahmins, and with their wives, all offering benedictions and singing the glories of the Lord. So he was accompanied by Brahmins and their wives, all singing praises and glories. And when Lord Krishna passed over the public roads, all the ladies of respectable families of Dwarka went on the rooftops of the palace to see him. So there were ladies on the rooftops also. I mean, if I were there, I would do the same thing. I'd go on the rooftop to have a look at Krishna. They considered this to be the greatest festival. And then the inhabitants of Dwarka were regularly accustomed to look upon the reservoir, all beauty, the infallible Lord, yet they were never satiated. So they were never satisfied to see Krishna. They wanted to continue looking at him and see him. The Lord's chest is the abode of the goddess of fortune. His moon-like face is the drinking vessel for eyes which hanker after all that is beautiful. His arms are the resting place for the administrative demigods, and his lotus feet are the refuge for pure devotees who never talk or sing of any subject except his lordship. As the Lord passed along the public road of Dwarka, his head was protected from an umbrella. His head was protected from the sunshine with an umbrella. It was white. The umbrella was white, and white feathered fans were moving in semicircles. And showers of flowers fell on the road. His yellow garments and garlands of flowers made it appear as if a dark cloud was surrounded simultaneously by sun, moon, lightning, and rainbows. So it was very beautiful. If you can imagine Lord Krishna, his color is that of a fresh monsoon cloud, grayish, bluish, and he's holding a white umbrella over him, and there are white feathered fans fanning him, and there are flowers falling all over him, and he is wearing yellow and has got garlands. Just imagine how beautiful the sight would have been. So after entering the house of his father, so first of all whose house he entered was his father. He went into the house of his father. He was embraced by the mothers present. So all of the wives of Vasudev, they all embraced him as mothers. And the Lord offered his obeisances unto them by placing his head at their feet. The mothers were headed by Devaki, his real mother. And the mothers, after embracing their son, set him on their laps. So Lord Krishna sat on their laps. He's a father, he's a husband, but he still sat on their laps. Due to pure affection, milk sprang from their breasts. They were overwhelmed with delight, and tears from their eyes wetted the Lord. They're so happy to see their son. Thereafter, what happens afterwards? He entered his own palaces. So first he greeted his parents. Then he went to see his wives. Now he has 16,108 wives. So he entered his palaces, which were perfect so all his palaces were perfect and to the fullest extent. His wives lived with them, and they numbered over 16,000. So it was 16,108. The queens of Lord Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband. So what happened was Lord Krishna expanded himself. He didn't just there was only one Krishna. He expanded himself to 16,108 forms. And it is said that because they were queens and they looked, they were of different sizes, maybe perhaps they were different looks. So Lord Krishna adjusted his form to suit the sizes even. So they looked perfect together. So the queens of Lord Krishna rejoiced within their minds to see their husband home after a long period abroad. The queens got up at once from their seat there in meditation, and as was socially customary, they covered their faces shyly. So they were shy to see their husband, and they looked about coyly. So the insuperable ecstasy was so strong in the queens who were shy, first embraced the Lord in the innermost recesses of their hearts. So they embraced the Lord in their hearts first. Then they embraced him visually with their eyes. And then they sent their sons to embrace him, which is equivalent to personal embracing, because the sons are born of their own body. So when the son is embracing Lord Krishna, they think that they are embracing Lord Krishna themselves also. But O chief amongst the Bhrigus, though they try to restrain their feeling, they inadvertently shed tears. So when they try to stop themselves from running to Krishna, embracing him, they start shedding tears. Although Lord Sri Krishna was constantly by their sides as well as exclusively alone, his feet appeared to them to be newer and newer. So his feet. The goddess of fortune, although by nature always restless and moving, could not quit the Lord's feet. So what woman can be detached from those feet, having once taken shelter of them? So the Lord was pacified after killing those kings who were burdensome to the earth. They were puffed up with their military strength, their houses, horses, elephants, chariots. He himself was not a party to the fight. He simply created hostility between the powerful administrators. So this is talking about the fight that he had returned from. So let's continue from there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, out of his causeless mercy, appeared on this planet by his internal potency and enjoyed himself amongst competent women as if he were engaging in mundane affairs. So I'll just read a little bit of the purport. The Lord married and lived like a householder, and it is certainly like a mundane affair. But we learn that he married 16,108 wives, and he lived with them separately in each and every palace. Certainly that is not mundane. I mean, even though being married is a mundane thing, it's ordinary, human beings do that, but to live simultaneously 16,108 times in the same form, now that's not mundane. That's spiritual. That proves that he's God, to be in 16,108 places at once. Therefore, the Lord lived as a householder, but his behavior with them is never to be understood as mundane sex relation. There wasn't anything like that. The women who became the wives of the Lord are certainly not ordinary women. They were expansions of Goddess Lakshmi. They were all expansions. Because to get the Lord's as one husband, it is a result of many millions of births and tapasya, austerity. You cannot get him as a husband just like that. It takes a lot of austerity. When the Lord appears on different locus of planets or on the planets of human beings, he displays his transcendental pastimes to attract the conditioned souls. So this is to prove that he is God, to attract the conditioned souls. His eternal servitors, friends, parents, lovers, respectively, they all come. They all come with him and reciprocate. So the women amongst whom he lived as their husband are not therefore women of this mundane world. They are not mundane. They are not ordinary, but are eternally related with him as transcendental wives. They're always his wife, always have been. A position which they attained by perfection of devotional service. So continuing from there, his marriage is neither mundane nor limited by our experience in the conditioned state. His wives therefore appear like mundane women, but factually they are all transcendental, liberated souls. Perfect manifestations of internal energy of the Lord himself. They're not ordinary. So this business of the 16,108 is not to be taken lightly as anything mundane. They were all Lakshmi Devis, an internal potency of the Lord, manifestations. So although the queen's beautiful smiles and furtive glances were all spotless and exciting, and although they could conquer Cupid, this is another thing. These ladies were very beautiful. They could conquer Cupid. Their smiles. They could conquer Cupid himself by making him give up his bow in frustration. And although even the tolerant Lord Shiva could fall victim to these ladies, could fall victim to them, still, despite their magical feats and attractions, they could not agitate the senses of the Lord. Actually, Lord Krishna's one of his qualities are that he is renounced. He's actually known as a brahmachari. Lord Krishna, one of his qualities. So he wasn't really attracted, but he did his duty as a husband, and for his pastimes, he did. He was a perfect husband, and he was, reciprocating the feelings. So let me see. It's explained already in previous verse that Lord appeared like a mundane husband, but factually his relation with his wives was transcendental, pure, and unconditioned by modes of material nature. The common materialistic conditioned souls speculate that the Lord is one of them. Actually, he's not one of us. He's not like one of us, never will be. Out of their ignorance, they think that the Lord is affected by matter, not affected by matter, although he is unattached. So let me see if there's anything in the purport that will explain this a little bit further. Thus, when the Lord is found to act like an ordinary person in matrimonial bondage, the ordinary people, they consider him to be like one of them, without considering that the Lord can at once marry 16,000 wives or more. Due to poor fund of knowledge, they accept one side of the picture while disbelieving the other. This means that due to ignorance only, they always think that Lord Krishna is like themselves. Lord Krishna is not like themselves. Lord Krishna is not like one of us. He is God. So they make their own conclusions, and which are observed, an unauthentic version of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we've got to be careful who we listen to and the explanations. It's always better to look at it from Srila Prabhupada's perspective rather than listening to impersonalists or people who draw their own conclusions. So this is the divinity of the personality of Godhead. He is not affected by the qualities of material nature, even though he is in contact with them. Similarly, the devotees who have taken the shelter of the Lord do not become influenced by material qualities. The simple and delicate women truly thought that Lord Krishna, their beloved husband, followed them and was dominated by them. So Lord Krishna here appears to be a little bit henpecked. I mean, that's the sign of a good husband, is one who listens to his wife and follows his wife around. So that's one of the best. This is according to our Shastras. And sometimes Gurudev also mentions in his class, to his married disciples, don't ask me questions, go and ask your wife. So in other words, he said, go and listen to your wife. he encourages henpecked husbands actually. That is a sign of a true marriage, a good marriage. And here Lord Krishna does the same, and their wives are under the impression that that he's listening to them and he's with them all the time, because that's how he behaves with his wife. They think their beloved husband followed them and was dominated by them, so they dominated Lord Krishna. They thought, in many respects, he allowed them that as well. He out of demand, Satyabhama demanded the Parijat flower. He went to the heavens and got it for her, just to satisfy Satyabhama. He went and got it for her. So on Satyabhama's wish. So they were unaware of the extent of glories of that. They were not aware that he is God and he's got unlimited power, potencies, nothing. They were not aware of any of those things. They were unaware of him as the supreme controller. So Krishna was a henpecked husband. Anyway, so I'll read a little bit of the purport, and then we will conclude this this class. This will be the end of the chapter 11. We've just finished the translation of the last verse of this chapter. So Prabhupada explains, even the transcendental wives of Lord Krishna did not know completely the unfathomable glories of the Lord. This ignorance is not mundane because there is some action of the internal potency of the Lord in exchange of feelings between him and his eternal associates. The Lord exchanges transcendental relations in 5 ways: as proprietor, as the master, as a friend, as a son, and lover. So that's 5. And each of these pastimes he plays fully by the potency of Yogamaya. So it's very important to actually forget that he's God. Otherwise, he will not be able to play his part as a son, as a master, as a friend, as a lover, as a proprietor. He cannot do so. So there has to be Yogamaya in order to cover and so that he is able to fully enact his role. He plays exactly like an equal friend with cowherd boys, even with Arjun. He plays exactly like a son with Yashodamai, and he plays exactly like a lover in the presence of cowherd damsels. He plays exactly like a husband in the presence of the queen of Dwarka. So that's all Yogamaya. Such devotees of the Lord never think of the Lord as supreme. So they also are under that Yogamaya. They don't think that of him as Lord. If we were to think of Lord Krishna as God, then we would not be able to relate with him personally. We would be all standing there in awe and reverence. So that is the beauty of Lord Krishna. Once you become his devotee, you can actually love him in that way that you do. And you actually forget that he's God. I mean, I have experienced a little bit, should not really reveal it, so just brush over it. But did have dreams of him. And in my dream, I did not remember that he's God. To me, he was somebody is most beloved, and he deserved an embrace and a kiss. And that's exactly what I did. I embraced him and I kissed him here on the cheek, obviously. I didn't think that he was God, that I was embracing God. Never thought it for a minute. Never. So I can relate to it a little bit in my own insignificant way. That it's very important to remember, this Yogamaya thing that we just discussed, that we forget that he's God. And so we are able to relate to him. Such devotees of the Lord never think of the Lord as supreme, but think of him exactly as a common friend, a pet son, or a lover or husband, very much dear to the heart and soul. That is the relationship between the Lord and his transcendental devotees, who act as his associates in the spiritual sky, where there are innumerable Vaikuntha planets. When the Lord descends, he does so along with his entourage. We just discussed that, to display a complete picture. So he's always with his devotees. Where pure love and devotion for the Lord prevail without any mundane tinge of lording it over the creation. So there's always love with this Krishna, this pure love. Such devotees of the Lord are all liberated souls, of course, and perfect representations of the marginal or internal potency in complete negation of the influence of external potency. So external energy in Maya is not there. They're all internal energy. External energy is not there, not present. Which means Lord Krishna never directly deals with Maya. Maya is the external energy. He only deals with the internal potency of his pure devotees. So the wives of Lord Krishna, they were not external energy. They were internal potency of Lord Krishna. Wives of Lord Krishna were made to forget. They were made to forget the immeasurable glories of the Lord by internal potency, so that there might not be any flow of exchange. And they took it for granted that the Lord was a henpecked husband. A henpecked husband is a husband who listens to his wife and never says no. A good marriage is one where the husband doesn't say no. I mean, that's anyway. Let's continue. That the Lord was henpecked husband, always following them in lonely places. In other words, even the personal associates of the Lord do not know him perfectly well. So what do the thesis writers or mental speculators know about the transcendental glories of the Lord? The mental speculators present different theses as to his becoming the cause of the creation. You cannot know Lord with science. You have to know him through devotional service, and you have to know him through love, pure love of devotees and his associates. So they create all these different theses, and they explain the ingredients of creation or the material and the efficient cause of creation, but this is all partial knowledge. And it's all partial knowledge about the Lord. Factually, they are as ignorant as the common man. So they're ignorant, they don't know. The Lord can be known by the mercy of the Lord only, and by no other means. But since the dealings of the Lord with his wives are based on pure transcendental love and devotion, the wives are all on transcendental plane without material contamination. So that ends chapter 11 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1. It's almost time, it's 1:45. The only thing I can mention in conclusion is that we should all pray to actually reach the platform where we can relate to Lord Krishna in a transcendental loving way, where like his associates, we forget that he's God, and we are able to give him our pure love and pure devotional service. That is, and we can aspire to that. According to Srila Prabhupada, we can reach that platform. So we can actually relate to him on the basis of pure transcendental love, as a son, as a friend, as a servant to the master, as a lover, as a, so one of those 5 rasas. But we are able to relate to Lord Krishna in a pure loving manner, rather than be dealing in material nature all the time. So hopefully with this class you are able to understand a little bit of the feelings of the residents of Dwarka, and how his wives related, and what Dwarka looked like. And it was obviously a huge place, and it was a city. And Krishna was there with all his entourage, from all his associates from the Vaikuntha planet, who lived in separation. Whenever he went out to visit Hastinapur, or he went to Mathura, or he went to Vrindavan, they were always, waiting for Lord Krishna, and they were listening out for the sound of his conch shell in arrival, and they all left everything to go and see him as soon as they heard the conch shell. So thank you and good evening. Hare Krishna to you all. Thanks for attending this class. Hare Krishna.